सारों का स्वागत है। आप देख रहे हैं प्रोग्राम स्ट्रेट टॉक एंड मैं हूं आश्मिता। फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल आई होप यू आर हैविंग अ गुड इवनिंग। जो हमारे यूनाइटेड स्टेट्स के व्यूअर्स हैं, वी होप यू आर सेफ। इफ़ यू आर इन एन एरिया जहां पे कर्फ्यू इम्पोज हुआ है प्रोटेस्ट को लेके, जो रिसेंटली यूनाइटेड स्टेट्स को, पूरे कंट्री को जकड़ चुकी हैं, वी होप यू आर एट होम एंड सेफली अबाइडिंग बाय द रूल्स ऑफ योर कर्फ्यू। आज मैं आपके साथ एक गेस्ट लेके आई हूँ जो थोड़ी सी हमें अपडेट्स देंगे इमिग्रेशन साइड पे, बट ऑल्सो हमारे साथ शेयर करेंगे कि इस कंट्री में किस डायरेक्शन इमिग्रेशन पॉलिसी लेके जा रही है, एंड ऑल्सो जो अनरेस्ट यहाँ पे हमें देखने को मिल रहा है, सिविल सोशल अनरेस्ट जॉर्ज फ्लॉयड की डेथ के बाद, उसको हम थोड़ा सा डिस्कस करेंगे इनके साथ पर्सनल एंड प्रोफेशनल तौर पे। सो आई एम नॉट गोइंग टू टेक एनी मोर टाइम हियर। आई वुड लव टू introduce you to my guest tonight, Miss Akanksha Kalra Esq from Philadelphia, joining us today. Akanksha ji, welcome to the program. It's really good to have you.
Thank you, Ashmita. I was unable to hear you, but I can hear you okay now.
Great. Akanksha ji, first of all, welcome to the program. हमें पता आप हमें Philadelphia से join कर रहे हैं, so we are hoping that you're safe. We know the protests there have been बहुत ही बड़ी and काफ़ी aggressive तरीके से वहाँ पे play out हो रही हैं. You are local to Philadelphia, so you know, first and foremost, we hope you're safe and your family and you are doing well.
Thank you very much for your concern, Ashmita. We are safe. Yes, the protests have been happening here since the first time it started on Saturday, and I actually live in Center City, Philadelphia, so the protests were happening very close to our home. From what I saw on Saturday, actually we just out to run a few errands because of COVID-19. ज़्यादातर तो घर में ही रहते हैं, बाहर तो जाते नहीं हैं, पर वीकेंड में थोड़े एरेंज करने के लिए बाहर निकले तो देखा कि पीसफुली पूरा एरिया ब्लॉक हुआ है. सारी पुलिस had stopped all vehicular traffic, and we are actually stuck in that traffic for over an hour or plus. Wow. जितने protesters को हमने देखा था वो तो mostly peaceful थे. I mean, yes, they were carrying posters or signs and placards, and पर कुछ नारेबाजी भी कर रहे थे, sloganeering, but किसी को aggression दिखाते हुए नहीं देखा. But then as we were able to get out of that blockade and get onto the exit, suddenly we saw smoke in the sky and realized that there was something must have happened. So that was the start of the first SUV, पुलिस की किसी SUV को उन्होंने आग लगाई थी और वहाँ से शुरू हुआ था. We actually were leaving town that day for the weekend, and then I saw on the news that late on Saturday night there was a lot of looting in the Center City area, burning of cars or storefronts or businesses को आग लगाई. In fact, जहाँ मेरा ऑफिस है उस एरिया में काफी नुकसान हुआ. So as a result of that, उसके बाद यहाँ पे थोड़ा सेंटर सिटी एरिया में काफी स्ट्रिक्ट हो गए हैं. डेमोन्स्ट्रेशंस यहाँ रोज होती हैं. I'm back in Philadelphia now. Protests रोज होती हैं, but more or less peaceful हैं. Looting हुई है 2-3 दिन outlying areas of Philadelphia में, and we hope and pray कि वो भी look, you know, better sense
right, hopefully
and वो भी जल्दी खत्म हो जाए.
Akanksha ji, I definitely want to get you know, a personal and a professional breakdown from you about all of these protests and the unrest जो इस चीज़ को motivate कर रही है, जिसकी वजह से ये सारे protests nationwide हो रहे हैं. But before we do that, I want to talk a little bit about your actual practice and what expertise you can share with us, updates you can share, खास करके immigration side पे. So tell us a little bit about your legal practice and what kind of what it specializes in, and then give us some updates in that regard.
Sure. So just to briefly give you my background, I am an immigrant myself. I was born and raised in India. I am from Punjab, then studied and worked in Delhi before I moved to the US. So in 28 plus years ago. So I have spent more than half my life here in the US. This is my home. Immigration key field mein, I have been working for the last almost 21 years now. Immigration law is my primary focus of my practice. I handle all immigration matters. Primarily, major part of my practice focus is employment-based, work visas, green cards, family immigration, naturalization. I also do some deportation, asylum, removal cases, U visas, pretty much all areas of immigration. I handle those. So that's the primary focus of my practice. Yeah.
जी आकांक्षा जी जहाँ पे इमिग्रेशन की बात आती है ऑफ कोर्स ये जो फील्ड है देयर इज़ ऑलवेज अ लॉट ऑफ क्वेश्चंस एंड देयर इज़ ऑलवेज अ लॉट ऑफ स्पेसिफिक केस अपडेट्स और policy updates that are moving the immigration policy in this country always back and forth, right? But recently, इस पूरे डायनामिक में एक और फैक्टर इंट्रोड्यूस हुआ है जो कोविड का पेंडेमिक के shutdowns and closures and the courts are closed, the immigration proceedings have been halted, people cannot travel, right? People are stuck overstaying visas all over the place. So there's so many new things that have been thrown to the mix, and understandably so, लोगों के इस चीज़ को लेके कितने ज़्यादा सवाल, I'm sure you've been inundated on your end with questions from clients and other prospects about this stuff. But unfortunately, when it comes to the answers, what are we working with here?
It's a very difficult question to answer as to where does one start? It's immigration as it is per se, and when I say immigration, I mean what you hear on the news about, the present administration tightening the borders, जो undocumented immigrants हैं, उनके जो restrictions हैं, वो तो पिछले 4 साल से हम सुन ही रहे हैं. The election campaign in 2016 was building a wall at the border. But what we sometimes don't hear as much on the media is the restrictions on immigration that have been put in place in the last 4 years now. We call it the invisible wall in legal immigration. So वो legal immigration चाहे वो family based, marriage based cases हैं या दूसरे cases हैं या employment based immigration है, H1B visas जिसका largely India के लोगों को benefit होता है. India और China के ज़्यादा लोग आते हैं H1B visas पे. Employment based green cards, उनमें restrictions बढ़ती ही गई हैं. There was a executive order issued by President Trump 3 years ago called Buy American, Hire American. We call it BAHA. उस executive order की वजह से, as the name says, Buy American, Hire American. So it was basically telling the US employers that they need to hire more US workers. But there are certain jobs in certain STEM fields जहाँ उन्हें enough US workers नहीं मिलते. And that's the pool the H1B workers fill. और उस एरिया में restrictions बढ़ती ही गई. अब COVID-19 की वजह से, I mean, it just all of a sudden we were all in the midst of a shutdown. Immigration USCIS offices were closed. So बहुत सारे लोगों की जिनकी green card चाहे marriage based है या family based है, applications process में थी, जिनकी interviews schedule पूरे country में, those were वो सारी backlog हो. जो application का process है, immigration court में आप बहुत सारे electronically कर सकते हो, but immigration USCIS, US Citizenship and Immigration Services, उसमें like for example in H1B petition I cannot file it electronically, so उसके लिए हमें paper filing करनी पड़ती है. और H1B filing can be anywhere from hundreds to several hundred pages. So that means somebody, either myself or my staff, has to go into the office to put that whole thing together. We have to get a lot of paperwork involved. So we are still doing that with the making sure, taking every precaution that is necessary. But work needs, so anxiety level सभी का बढ़ा हुआ है COVID-19 की वजह से. बट आप सोच सकते हो कि जो लोग यहाँ पे जिनकी H1B एक्सपायर कर रही है या जिनकी कोई और स्टेटस में है, B2 वीजा स्टेटस में है, वो एक्सपायर कर रहे हैं, उनका एंजाइटी लेवल कहाँ जा रहा है आप अंदाजा लगा सकते हो. दूसरा, अनएम्प्लॉयमेंट इतनी बढ़ गई है, एंड व्हेन कंपनीज हैव टू ले ऑफ पीपल, अनफॉर्चुनेटली दे डोंट वांट टू बट दे हैव टू. Who are the first ones they're going to lay off? They're going to lay off the foreign workers first. So people think H1B ज़्यादातर tech sector में होता है, तो उनको कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ेगा, उनकी जॉब्स प्रिजर्व रहेंगी. It's yes and no. You know, some jobs, yes, are still going to be here because those companies are still in business, but not every company is a Microsoft or an Amazon or a Google.
Right.
There are small-time, mid-sized companies or
Ji.
small-sized companies that have projects that are getting cancelled. So if they have a pool of H-1B workers who are going to be working at these projects and now those contracts are not getting renewed, what choice does that company, the employer, have but to lay off these people? So that's also happening. बाकी जो लोग already बाहर थे US से और वापस जिन्होंने आना था वो लोग वहीं फंस गए हैं, चाहे वो कुछ लोग हमारी खासकर इंडियन कम्युनिटी में सारे लोग होते हैं जो ग्रीन कार्ड जिनके पास होता है, but they spend a lot of time in India and then they come back sometimes after 10 months or 9 months and now they are
उनका वो साल पूरे होने को आ रहे हैं. Yes, yes.
साल पूरा होने वाला है, exactly. तो बहुत सारी calls उसके चक्कर में आती है, मेरे parents वहाँ पे हैं या मेरा you know फलाना कोई भी वहाँ पे है, उनके लिए क्या करें, कब खुलेगा consulate. I wish I had that in a crystal ball in which I could look and tell you. हाँ ये
Akanksha ji, I'm gonna have to stop you right here.
Like for example,
हाँ जी, we're gonna stop for a quick break. We'll be right back. बातें बिल्कुल ऐसे ही जारी रहेंगी. बात हो रही इमिग्रेशन की अपडेट्स लेके हमारे साथ जुड़े हुए हैं गेस्ट इस चीज़ पे एक्सपर्ट तौर पे अपने ओपिनियंस शेयर करने के लिए. बट we'll continue all this conversation after the break. ब्रेक के बाद आपका स्वागत है प्रोग्राम स्ट्रेट टॉक में. बात हो रही है जो यूनाइटेड स्टेट्स में कर्फ्यू, शटडाउन, लॉकडाउन करके डिफरेंट इमिग्रेशन रिलेटेड अपडेट्स हैं. एक तो वो शेयर कर रहे हैं एंड जो सोशल सिविल अनरेस्ट प्रोटेस्ट्स ऑल ओवर द कंट्री इस टाइम चल रही हैं उनके बारे में भी थोड़ी सी हम डिस्कशन कर रहे थे. इस बात पे हमारे साथ डिस्कस करने के लिए जुड़े हैं हमारे गेस्ट मिस आकांक्षा कालरा फ्रॉम फिलाडेल्फिया एस्क्वायर विथ योर ओन फर्म. आकांक्षा जी, वेलकम बैक टू द प्रोग्राम. आपने हमें थोड़ा सा अपडेट दिया कि इमिग्रेशन रिलेटेड जो मसले हैं जो आज की डेट में जिनके पेंडिंग केसेस हैं या ओपन उनकी पिटिशंस हैं या अगर वो किसी स्पेसिफिकली वर्क रिलेटेड वीज़ा पे आए हैं जैसे H-1B या उनकी वीज़ा ओवरस्टे की इशू है, अक्रॉस द बोर्ड अपडेट्स के तौर में आज की डेट में ज़्यादा कुछ अपडेट्स नहीं हैं बिकॉज एवरीथिंग इज स्टिल एट अ स्टैंड स्टिल. आई मीन जस्ट टेल मी अबाउट द कोर्ट्स फॉर एग्जांपल. कोर्ट्स की रीओपनिंग कब तय हुई थी एंड आपको लगता है दैट विल बी ऑनर्ड, विल इट बी मूव्ड अराउंड? टेल अस अबाउट द कोर्ट्स.
Okay, so the courts have been closed since March, more or less, except for detained hearings. जो लोग detention centers में हैं, क्योंकि detention centers के अंदर भी immigration court होता है. यहाँ Pennsylvania में York Detention Center है, which is one of the largest, one of the very large detention centers here in the US. उसमें courts हैं. वो डिटेन्ड हियरिंग्स चल रही थी. फिर अभी और दूसरी कोर्ट्स जैसे फॉर एग्जांपल जो फिलाडेल्फिया का इमिग्रेशन कोर्ट है उधर पहले इंडिविजुअल हियरिंग्स कंटिन्यू कर रहे थे, मास्टर कैलेंडर हियरिंग्स को बंद कर दिया था और इन पर्सन विंडो फाइलिंग्स अलाउ कर रहे थे, पर वो भी अब बंद हैं काफ़ी हफ्तों से. Philadelphia में they are scheduled to open the immigration court here on June 26th, but we do not know if that's going to happen or not. We are supposed to be entering the yellow phase here in Pennsylvania and Philadelphia sometime later this week or next week, but with all of these protests and unrest going on, not sure when that's going to happen too. But immigration, on the other hand, U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services, USCIS, they did give a date, and they, as of now, they still are, I believe, scheduled to reopen June 4th, which is tomorrow. So I have not received any notification from USCIS about any rescheduling of an interview for a client whose interview was rescheduled or cancelled in March or April. So I don't know of any tentative, I don't have any tentative idea as to when those will be rescheduled or if the immigration office is going to open tomorrow in Philadelphia or not. We don't know. It's wait and see right now that we are in.
जी आकांक्षा जी, you know, I think ये एक बड़ी common theme बार बार देखने को मिल रही है कि जो experts हैं, जो industry leaders हैं, उनके पास भी की इंफॉर्मेशन नहीं है. Everyone's figuring it out as we go. चाहे आप economic side में देख लीजिए, banking industry की तरफ से daily नई regulations आ रही हैं. Even they are figuring things out. It's same thing in the legal sphere that चाहे वो court की openings हो, cases का status, etc. It's something that is being figured out by everyone. But one thing is pretty clear, जो चाहे वो थोड़ी vague तरीके से announce की गई थी in terms of the specifics. Recently, everyone is aware that President Trump ने कुछ हफ्ते पहले जो announcement की थी, his so-called ban on immigration. Of course, the initial announcement made it seem that सारी ही immigration पे वो ban डाल देंगे या temporary pause कर देंगे. But of course, दिन by दिन थोड़ी और clarification आई. So, you know, walk us again quickly through the main pieces of what that ban entails, जो आज की डेट में हमें जितनी up-to-date information है. And how do you think that that is going to evolve? I mean, initially उन्होंने 60 days का उस पे time डाला था, but then there's rumors that it may get extended. So, you know, I'd love to hear कि आपका क्या ख्याल है इस बात के बारे में?
So there are several things that the administration has put in the pipeline in terms of imposing more restrictions on immigration. So from what we have learned is the 60-day ban, वो तो सभी को मालूम है, जो April 22nd को presidential proclamation से हुआ था, that's going to set to expire on June 22nd or 22nd, with the 60 days or maybe even a day or two earlier. So we don't have any information as to when that, if it would be extended, and if so, how long would that extension last? But we are hearing some chatter about some other immigration restrictions that may be put in place. One of them is they are talking every day about restrictions on H-1Bs or temporary suspension of H-1B visas. एक तरफ से ये सुनने में आ रहा है, दूसरी तरफ से सुनने में आ रहा है कि OPT होता है एक, it's an acronym for optional practical training. जो लोग student visas पे आते हैं, and again majority of student visas, international students जो आते हैं चाइना और इंडिया से, बहुत large numbers में students आते हैं, उनको after they graduate उनको in most cases 12 months का work permit मिल जाता है, authorization मिल जाती है, और in some cases more than 12 months, up to 29 months का उनको OPT, STEM OPT बोलते हैं उसको, वो मिल जाता है. So there has been I don't want to use the word rumors, but what we are hearing is that there is a proposal for the administration to end the OPT program for international students. So that would be a big loss. We are also, like I said, hearing suspension of H-1B program. But on the other hand, we also hear proposals that are currently being considered to increase employment visas, work visas for doctors and nurses. There's talk about increasing up to maybe 40,000. Wow. 40,000 के करीब visas उन लोगों के लिए increase करिए, because think about it, who's on the front lines right now of the COVID-19? It's the healthcare workers. There's always been, I've been doing this for 21 years, उससे पहले से भी there's always been a shortage of healthcare workers, और आज तो उनकी need और भी ज़्यादा है. तो that's a proposal कि उनके लिए work visas increase करे जाएं. So that's what we are hearing.
जी. Akanksha ji, you know, I know this is a loaded question, right? So I'm full disclosure. But आप अपने professional opinion में कह सकते हैं कि जो ये current temporary ban in specific immigration related aspects पे लगा है Trump administration से, that this is a attempt to reshape immigration policy for the long run using the temporary conditions created by the crisis? Or do you think that this was a justified temporary order by the administration?
Are you referring to the 60-day ban?
Ji.
Or are you referring to the proposals that they are considering?
The 60-day ban specifically.
The 60-day ban, I think, well, here's my take on it. Obviously, as an immigration lawyer, as an immigrant, I'm not going to say that was a good thing at the date. But truth be told, the immigration, I beg your pardon, the US embassies and consulates worldwide were already closed because of the
जी
COVID-19.
जी
So it really didn't change that much, but it made a political statement,
जी
yes.
जी
And if you look at the data and the stats that they, who say कि इतने लोग affect होंगे वो ban की वजह से. Well, in 60 दिनों में, in 60 days में वैसे ही कोई embassies और consulates खुली तो थी नहीं कि जहाँ उनकी visa processing हो रही होगी. So I don't think I mean, as you said, it's a loaded question, so the answer is also going to be very difficult to
जी
give. So, I think once the consulates and embassies start reopening, and if that immigration ban is extended further, which could happen, then we'll see the real impact, I think. Now, having said that, keep in mind this is election year. The stakes are high.
जी
So they have to, I'm not a political pundit. I cannot obviously opine about that. But इतना तो हमें भी समझ में आता है as a common man कि उनको अभी वही चीज करनी पड़ेगी जो the pulse of the public सुनना
जी
चाहे.
जी
और
जी
right now इस दौर में हमारे कंट्री में इतना सिविल अनरेस्ट हो रहा है कि सबका अटेंशन और सबका फोकस उस
उस
तरफ
तरफ
चला
है
गया है.
Akanksha ji,
एक हफ्ते पहले तक we were
Akanksha ji, you've given me the perfect
जी.
segue because I want to talk about the public pulse and I specifically want to talk about the protest, but we're going to stop for a quick break. आप भी जुड़े रहो, but discussion बिल्कुल ऐसे जारी रहेगी break के उस पार. जी वेलकम बैक टू स्ट्रेट टॉक एंड बात हो रही है जो इस कंट्री में यूनाइटेड स्टेट्स में इमिग्रेशन पॉलिसी को लेके कुछ अपडेट्स आपके लिए वो शेयर की हमने एंड अब जो प्रोटेस्ट्स जो सिविल सोशल अनरेस्ट इतने बड़े लेवल पे यहाँ पे अंडरगो हो रहा है उसकी भी डिस्कशन कर रहे हैं. हमारे साथ आज शाम को जुड़े हैं मिस आकांक्षा कालरा फिलाडेल्फिया से. आकांक्षा जी एक बारी फिर आपका प्रोग्राम में वेलकम. आकांक्षा जी आपने हमें काफ़ी सारी अपडेट्स दी इमिग्रेशन को लेके एंड थोड़ा सा ओपिनियन भी शेयर किया कि कैसे इस एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन की कुछ मूव्स चाहे वो टेम्परेरी हों या लॉन्ग टर्म पॉलिसी प्रपोजल्स हों कैसे इमिग्रेशन लॉ एंड इमिग्रेशन पॉलिसी को यूनाइटेड स्टेट्स में शेप कर रही हैं शेप करने की कोशिश कर रही हैं. बट जहाँ इमिग्रेशन पॉलिसी की बात आती है यू सेड सो योरसेल्फ यू आर एन इमिग्रेंट आई एम एन इमिग्रेंट. हम जितने मर्जी अमेरिकन हो जाएं हमारा ग्रुपिंग उस ब्राउन कैटेगरी में आता है एंड आज की डेट में जो यूनाइटेड स्टेट्स में ब्लैक एंड ब्राउन माइनॉरिटीज़ के राइट्स को लेके प्रोटेस्ट चल रहे हैं यू इवन शेयर कि आपने पर्सनली कैसे अपने शहर में इनको एक्सपीरियंस किया इन फिलाडेल्फिया सिटी सेंटर जहाँ पे आपका ऑफिस है आप रहते हैं यू फर्स्ट हैंड सॉ दीज. फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल यू नो जैसे आपने इनको डिस्क्राइब किया एज समवन हु इज़ फ्रॉम द एरिया आपके लोकल बिजनेसेस भी अफेक्ट हुए हैं बट majority of what you saw was peaceful protesters, right? So सबसे पहले I want to once again start with your personal experience. What have you been seeing locally and some of the stuff जो आपने शायद अपने friends and network से nationwide इस चीज़ के बारे में सुना होगा. Please share that with us.
Well, personally, जो मैंने देखा है जितने जो प्रोटेस्ट मैंने देखे हैं अपने आंखों से भी और TV पे भी, I'm talking about my area, and I think largely in the country as well. जो peaceful protests जो लोग कर रहे हैं, majority of them are younger. When I say younger, I mean they're in their 20s, 30s, a large number of them, and it's a diverse group. I see a very large number of गोरे लोग, white लोग who are protesting. I see brown people joining the protest. I see Asian Americans joining the protest. So everybody जो इस तरह से बोलते हैं कंधे से कंधा मिला के, right? अभी कुछ देर पहले मैं टीवी पे न्यूज़ देख रही थी यहाँ फिलाडेल्फिया में एक सिटी हॉल में जो नज़दीकी है यहाँ से वहाँ पे एक स्टैचू है of a former mayor and a former police commissioner in Philadelphia, Rizzo, or that statue has become like a flashpoint, not a flashpoint, it's become a contentious thing. And the protesters have been asking now, this is not the first time they asked for it, they asked for it earlier too, that it should be removed. And finally, yesterday night, after hours, the city government has removed that statue. So today, in the protests, the protesters convened at that city hall area, right outside where that statue used to be, and they were kneeling down or sitting down peacefully. And I also saw a lot of police and National Guard people lending them their voice in support of that movement. Now, that's what I have seen. People of my generation, as I mentioned earlier, I grew up in India. I was born and raised in India. I'm from Punjab. I grew up in Punjab in the 70s and 80s. So I have seen tumultuous times growing up in Punjab. And when we were young, I think it's the Indian हम लोगों की nature कुछ ऐसे होती है, upbringing कह लो, कुछ भी कह लो, इस तरह की होती है कि जहाँ ये सब हो रहा है, दंगेबाजी हो रही है या जहाँ कुछ हो रहा है, उधर नहीं जाना है. It's not safe. खासकर लड़कियों के लिए तो बिल्कुल ही नहीं. So we were not allowed to it was very restrictive, the environments that we grew in. What I see now even in India, I'll give you an example. So कुछ चीजें होती हैं जो हर जनरेशन में सबकी जिंदगियों में कुछ ना कुछ चीजें फ्लैश पॉइंट्स बन जाती हैं. India में, I don't want to get into any political discussion or anything, but rape women are not safe in India. Rapes सदियों से होते आ रहे हैं और होते unfortunately आज भी होते हैं. But 2012 में दिल्ली में एक रेप हुआ था जिसको निर्भया नाम दिया गया था. That became a flashpoint. That brought on everybody out on the streets protesting against why that happened. उसमें सब लोग शामिल थे, from all socio-economic sections of the society, from the students to the older people to the women to everybody. And that became, we thought, would bring about change. It has, but not really. I think right now what is happening here, I see, I'm drawing a parallel, but यहाँ भी पिछले 400 साल से racial inequality है और आज की डेट में भी वो खत्म नहीं हुई है. It's जो लोग आज अपने अफ्रीकन अमेरिकन ब्रदर्स और सिस्टर्स के साथ खड़े हैं, वो इसलिए खड़े हैं कि किसी को भी, अगर आप वो वीडियो देखो, कोई भी इंसान वो वीडियो देखेगा तो उसका दिल दहल जाएगा और गुस्सा आएगा कि किस तरह से उस that man breathed his last. So that's that. I think that has brought people out in such large numbers, and keeps bringing them out every day because they want their voices to be heard. And think about this. Every person who's out there protesting today, if they vote, that can change things. So it's not only brought everybody in the nation to their feet, it's getting international attention worldwide.
I mean,
protests happening in other places in the world.
जी आकांक्षा जी, यहाँ पे ज़रूर हमें इस चीज़ की बात करनी चाहिए. Obviously आपके पास एक historical legal perspective as a result of your career in this field, so you are fit to comment on this. इस country में ऐसी protest, इतने widespread civil social unrest इस country ने at least 50 years में नहीं देखा. Since the 60s, since the assassination of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. आपके ख्याल में why today? Because ये भी कहना है कि racism ना बढ़ी है ना कम हुई है. It's just with technology हम उसको अब capture ज़्यादा कर पा रहे हैं, उसको दिखा ज़्यादा पा रहे हैं. But it's always been there. आपने खुद कहा पिछले 400 सालों से इस country में वो history है African Americans की इस तरह की treatment की. I mean segregation को it took 100 years between the end of the Civil War and the abolishment of slavery and the segregation movement, right? So all of this stuff, it has been happening, but there's something about this movement today, जैसे आपने कहा, अभी भी वो चल रहे हैं, and लगता नहीं है किसी भी वो time ये anytime soon खत्म होने वाले हैं. Governments, local governments are bracing for, like you said, जैसे Philadelphia में उन्होंने वो statue निकाल दिया. They're bracing for this to continue on. Why do you think that this is happening in this level, at this level now?
वो कहते हैं ना, एक हिंदी में कहावत होती है, घड़ा कभी तो भरे, जब वो घड़ा भर जाएगा तो वो फूटेगा या बाहर निकलेगा. एंड वही हो रहा है. फ्लैश पॉइंट, एज आई सेड बिफोर, इट इज और कुछ ये भी हो सकता है. आई एम नॉट सेइंग दैट इज ट्रू, बट थिंक अबाउट इट. पीपल हैव बीन under stay-at-home orders for the last almost 2.5 months, right? And उस इतने दिन अपने कॉलेजेस बंद हैं, schools बंद हैं,
Unemployment
everything
is at
online.
record high
People,
numbers, yeah.
I was just about to say, exactly, unemployment is very high. So वो भी तो आप लोगों के दिमाग में है, right?
जी, जी.
हर बंदे को किसी और के साथ injustice होता देख के, या किसी when you pay your condolences to somebody who may have lost a family member. I'm just talking about generally in our life, right?
जी.
You go to a funeral, or you tear up, you get emotional. What are you getting emotional about? You're getting emotional about something that you have lost, something that you can relate with. It brings a memory of some grief, and it automatically makes you cry, right?
जी.
I think this is bringing the grief, the outrage, the emotions that we all have. Sometimes we keep them bottled up. Sometimes we just are so busy, so preoccupied अपने रोजमर्रा की जिंदगी में कि हम उनके बारे में सोचते हैं fleetingly maybe, but then we get involved with doing something else.
जी.
Now
जी.
this is in our face every day, day in, day out, every day, and it makes us think. So आज मैं टीवी पे देख रही हूँ, कल शायद मैं भी उस मोर्चे में मैं अपने आप को एग्जाम्पल की तरह दे रही हूँ, जो या मेरे बच्चे who were born and raised here, शायद उनको उनकी अपब्रिंगिंग मेरे से डिफरेंट है, वो ज्यादा जागरूक हैं हम लोगों से. They may be marching too, because that's what, and I actually know of people whose kids are doing that at their level. So people are standing up, people are voicing it, whatever their reasons are. But this change is long
overdue.
It's been a long time coming.
जी.
It's
I
overdue.
agree.
It's,
I
yes.
agree. I think Akanksha ji, आपकी इस पूरी statement में जो सबसे powerful message, which is the same message given by former President Barack Obama, which was to get out and vote. Conversation में मैसेज जारी रखेंगे, ब्रेक ले एक बार फिर रुक रहे हैं, आप भी जुड़े रहो. ये शो बिल्कुल लाइव जा रहा है, सो आप भी कॉल करके अपने सवाल, अपने कमेंट्स, क्वेश्चंस रख सकते हो इस प्लेटफॉर्म पे. We'll continue the conversation after the break. Welcome back to the program, Straight Talk. I'd like to once again welcome our guest, Miss Akanksha Kalra, who's joining us for this program from Philadelphia. Akanksha ji, welcome back to the program. आपने हमें काफ़ी सारी immigration related updates भी दी, as well as sharing some of your personal opinions on जो current protests United States में चल रहे हैं, George Floyd की recent death को लेके and the subsequent Black Lives Matter movement. Akanksha ji, आपने कुछ historical हमें information share की, but now I want to look forward, right? I want to wrap the show with how do we move forward, not just as a community, but as a country. इस country की जो history है, चाहे वो racism की हो, चाहे वो prejudice against African Americans की हो, चाहे वो systemic आप कह सकते हो discrimination हो, ये चीज़ें overnight नहीं solve होने वाली. And unfortunately, even with this protest, जितने scale पे ये हो रही है, उस चीज़ के बावजूद भी, it's not going to fix itself, immediately. So, coming from a professional perspective now, what are some things that you think can happen to correct this? And once again, I don't know if you got a chance to watch this afternoon, but former President Barack Obama ने भी कुछ suggestions दी अपनी आज दोपहर की जो उनकी छोटी सी speech थी इस बात को लेके. But आपके opinion में what needs to happen for us to move forward?
Well, I'm certainly not don't have the ability to talk about what the country should do as in the future, but professionally मेरे लिए इसके बारे में कुछ भी कहना मुश्किल है, because that's not something, I'm not a legislator, I'm not one of the politicians who can say that. But personally what I feel is this so much anguish, so much of what we see every day tells you that there is an underlying problem that, I mean, those are buzzwords everybody is using: systemic failure, systemic social inequality, social injustice. Yes, but it is there. That is why it has come to a boiling point now. Tipping point कह लीजिए, boiling point कह लीजिए, flash point कह लीजिए, कुछ भी है. But 4 लोगों ने एक इंसान को बुरी तरह से मार दिया. एक लड़की ने वहाँ वीडियो बना लिया, उस वीडियो ने पूरी दुनिया को हिला दिया। वो जो जो उस जिस फैमिली का बंदा चला गया वो तो वापस नहीं आने वाला, पर उसकी कम से कम his death should not go in waste. Every time social reform happens in any society, not just US, there are inequalities all over the world. Let's not get into what happens even in our home countries in India. I'm not going to get into that, but वो चार इंसान जिन्होंने ये किया, and that's where we see ourselves today. इसका मतलब ये नहीं कि पूरी की पूरी पुलिस फोर्स या पूरी के पूरे सारे कॉप्स खराब होते हैं। गोइंग फॉरवर्ड मेरा अपना ये मानना है, कुछ दिन पहले तक हम आफ्टर दिस COVID-19, I myself am part of a volunteer group of Indian American organizations, and we have Indian Americans for COVID-19 relief efforts going on here in the greater Philadelphia area. And one of the things that we've been doing and still continue to do was provide meals and PPE, masks, gloves for frontline workers. And those frontline workers were healthcare workers, hospitals, and also our police departments, local police departments, and fire stations. So kuch din pehle tak to we considered it a matter of our duty to go and recognize the honorable work these frontliners, law enforcement, and healthcare workers were doing. और आज हम सब उनको अपना दुश्मन माने, वो भी तो गलत है। सारे पुलिस वाले गंदे नहीं होते, पर जहां आपको लगे कि इनजस्टिस किसी के साथ भी अगर हो रहा है, and if you are in a position to raise your voice in whichever manner, one should do that. I think going forward, I did listen to President Obama's town hall. He's obviously what he said resonates with everybody, including me. So it's not, one of the things that he said was, it's not one or the other. It's not like, okay, I will protest, but I will not do both. I think your voting rights, and I say that every time I have to talk to somebody about, as an immigrant, about applying for naturalization, I tell them, you have no idea what that piece of paper means. That piece of paper that I'm referring to is your naturalization certificate that gives you the right to vote. It gives you many other rights, but with rights come duties as well. So it's not just as a citizen, I'm only here to enjoy my rights, but you also have a civic duty towards the nation, towards your neighbor, towards your fellow citizen. And I think all of us need to exercise that right of voting and that fulfill that duty of civic obligations that we have.
I know you're not a prosecutor specifically, so this is a little different from your day-to-day, but फिर भी आप हमें एक legal expert के तौर पे ज़रूर बताइए. Just today they announced जो police officer Derek Chauvin, the main culprit here, who had his knee on George Floyd's neck for almost 9 minutes, उसके initially उन्होंने third-degree murder charges लगाए थे. आज उन्होंने उनको change करके second-degree charges कर दिए, and I believe that they've also charged the other officers as aiding and abetting in murder. You know, from a legal perspective, specifically speaking about this situation, what should we look for from the prosecution side? You know, when they move this case forward, and you know, I ask this because so much of this flashpoint, this situation, you know, will be determined by the specific justice that is served to these 4 officers, right? So from a legal perspective, how should they move this case forward against these officers?
I cannot comment on the legal position of that. I'm not a criminal lawyer, but I do have some basic understanding of criminal law. I definitely do not have any knowledge of the criminal statutes in Minnesota. But aiding and abetting, जो simple वो उसका मतलब ये होता है कि जो ऑफिसर्स ने जो मैंने वीडियोस देखे हैं, जो मैंने पढ़ा है, 4 ऑफिसर्स थे. एक तो क्लियरली नजर आ रहा है जिसने अपना घुटना, अपना नी उस जॉर्ज फ्लॉयड की गर्दन के ऊपर रखा हुआ है और जेब में हाथ डाले हुए, और there's another police officer standing right there with his hands in his pockets doing nothing. And then there are 2 other officers who, from a certain angle from that video, you cannot see them, but then there is another video circulating where you, from a different angle, where you can see them. And from what I understand is those 2 other officers were also kneeling down. I'm not sure if they were kneeling down or holding George Floyd down, उसकी बैक और लेग्स के ऊपर भी उन्होंने दबाव रखा हुआ था, तो वो भी तो एक्सेसरी बने इस मर्डर में, तो एडिंग एंड अबेटिंग तो बनती है, उनको चार्ज और राइटफुली सो उनको आज चार्ज किया गया है. Now going forward, how they are going to prosecute it, I don't know. I think I saw earlier in the news, some reporter was asking the Attorney General a question as to whether it's going to be one trial for the four of them or they're going to be four different trials. And his answer was, that's something we need to discuss, and it's an internal discussion. So they are also, it's, as you can tell, it's very evolving. It's very tense right now, and this is something they were repeatedly asking, that the other officers need to be charged before there is a memorial held for George Floyd, or before he is put to rest, before his funeral. And there was a lot of pressure on them to move forward with charging these other three officers. And at least that's a step forward. They've done that. बाकी वो आगे उनकी prosecution किस तरह से अपनी strategy करती है और किस तरह से अपना case करती है, motions. One of the other things the Attorney General said was a lot of it is going to come out in motion practice. So that's, we're going to find out how it's going to evolve. But I think, yes, they were definitely charged correctly with aiding and abetting.
One more question once again, with the preface that, you know, your specialty is immigration and we are talking about criminal law here and prosecution. What could have changed in a few days that they changed Derek Chauvin's charge from third-degree murder to second-degree? Just in general layman's terms, if you can give us an answer.
I think general layman's answer would be investigation. It's not just what we see on video. Camera के आगे जो दिखाई देता है, उसके अलावा भी तो बहुत सारी चीजें उनको देखनी होती है. It's a crime scene. Somebody died. It's a murder scene. So they, as more information becomes available to them, autopsy report आएगा, जो भी आया, that's why they changed the charges, and that's why it took them a few days to finally charge the other three officers involved. So I'm not going to comment as to why it took them that long. Law is complex.
Of course.
Not just as easy. हमने कैमरे में देखा, चार लोगों ने उसको मार दिया, चारों को चार्ज करे, ऐसे तो नहीं होता है.
Another loaded question, and forgive me, I know I've been throwing you a couple of these in this program. Do you think that the pressure from all of this civil unrest and the nationwide, even worldwide protests that are taking place as a result of this had anything to do with that change in the charge and the charging of the other officers?
The protests in the US, definitely. I think one of the things the protesters were asking again and again and again for, they wanted the other three officers to be charged. But the protest, the underlying like I keep saying the same word, flashpoint ban gaya na, George Floyd ki death. But it's not just George Floyd. They keep chanting, say his name, say her name. There are so many other.
The list is long, yeah.
Unfortunately, rising number of African American lives that are lost, that are taken away ruthlessly, brutally, senseless, completely, and at the hands of the cops, at the hands of the police. The people who are there to protect you are the ones who are killing you just because of the color of your skin. So the unrests are happening, and the discussion all over the world that is happening is because of the underlying racism, the systemic failure, as I'm borrowing that word too, which is in every news report you hear that. That's what is happening. And दुनिया में हर COVID-19 की situation से already पूरी दुनिया की आंखें अमेरिका पे हैं. क्योंकि we are leading, if you want to call it that, in the death count, in the number of people affected by COVID-19. And the world is looking for America to take a leadership role in addressing the pandemic and issues coming out of that. उसके ऊपर से अब एक और चीज ये हो गई, तो वैसे ही हम दुनिया भर की नजरों में आए हुए हैं, not for good reasons. This is another thing to add to it. And racism, like I said, is not just an American issue. Social injustice and social equalities, किसी ना किसी level पे हर country में या society में prevalent है. So वो जो उन countries में, उन cities में जो protests हो रहे हैं, जैसे मैंने पहले कहा था, आप किसी के फ्यूनरल पे जाते हो तो आपको अपना दुख भी याद आ जाता है, आप किसी के दुख में शामिल होते हो उनके दुख का हल
जी
बांटने के लिए, बट यू ऑल्सो रिमेंबर योर ओन. सो मे बी दैट सोसाइटीज वे ऑफ एड्रेसिंग
जी
the underlying issues
जी
that are there in their society.
जी Akanksha ji,
And they
before
are
we wrap,
coming out in
हाँ जी,
solidarity.
really quickly, in closing, in 30 seconds or 1 minute if you need, tell us why जो हमारी community है, जो South Asian immigrant community है United States में, चाहे वो first generation, second generation हो, why should they care about this movement in particular?
इंसान तो हम सारे हैं ना, we are all human beings. और हम लोग भी बाहर से आए थे, हम लोग भी we are people of color as they say. आज इसके साथ हो रहा है, कल हमारे साथ भी हो सकता है. South Asians do face discrimination. We
Absolutely.
already do.
Absolutely.
So we obviously nobody can walk in the skin or the shoes of another man or woman for that matter, but we can relate at many levels. So it is very, very important for us to understand why the protests are happening, to understand why the African American community feels so alienated and so victimized, because they are. And this issue, we can't deny it. I think South Asians, I speak for myself, हम चैंपियंस ऑफ डिनायल हैं. हमको ये लगता है कि मेरी जॉब सिक्योर है, मेरे बच्चे ठीक ठाक पढ़ रहे हैं, मेरे घर में खाना, हाँ तो सब ठीक है, कुछ नहीं होगा, मंदिर चले गए, गुरुद्वारे चले गए, अपनी अपनी कम्युनिटी में मिल लिए लोगों से, हाँ वो सब ठीक है. ऐसा नहीं है. हमारी कम्युनिटी में भी इश्यूज हैं, हमारी कम्युनिटी के अंदर हैं और हमारी कम्युनिटी को फेस भी करने पड़ते हैं. सो we are all together in this. This is our country. We need to respect people who are there to protect us. We need to stand up against the rogue cops, the ones who are see something, say something. If you see somebody being bullied in school, that's what you taught your kids, right? Go tell a teacher, go tell, that's what I told my kids. Don't ever back off or just think it's happening to somebody else.
Miss Akanksha Kalra, thank you so much for joining us. Unfortunately, we don't have time. We hope you'll join us again. बहुत आपके साथ interesting discussion आज शाम को ही. And most importantly, please stay safe. You and your family, we wish you the best of luck in Philadelphia. बाकी दर्शकों, thank you for tuning in. We hope you like the program. हमेशा हमें लिख सकते हैं info@justbroadcasting.com, ashmita@justbroadcasting.com. अपने सारे ख्यालों के साथ, comments, questions, concerns regarding this program. Thank you for watching.